Okay, this is brilliant. This is truly brilliant because my complaint when riding a bike is there's never enough cushion. So, amen to whoever did this. This was the right thing to do.
Amen to that. Hillary, thank you so much for joining. How about a quick introduction, and maybe you can share what we're talking about today?
Yeah, sure. So, joining you from quarantine here in Seattle. And Hillary Maddox, I had the pleasure of working with a deal at Amazon. He's brilliant. And we had the opportunity to talk a couple of times about immigrants. And I shared my perspective on what it's like to live with my father-in-law, who is a Nigerian immigrant. There's some things I've observed about him in the year and a half or so that I've lived with him that I just find interesting. And I think one of the things that I just wanted to ask about and talk about is what I see as being entrepreneurial. It might otherwise be described as being cheap or being like creative with things that you have to solve problems. Is this a common thing?
Yeah, I think it's a common thing. In fact, we have a term for it, and that term is Jugaad in Pakistan. Yes, he's spot on. And I think it's a common term between Pakistan and India. I think Indians have the same term. And I think it goes back to just the fact that we come from a low-resourced economy, and people don't always have means or cash to go and buy stuff to solve problems. And so there's a certain sense of resourcefulness where you kind of look around and see, okay, how can I use this and that and put it together to solve a problem?
Mm-hmm. And I want to tell you too, just a little bit more about why I find this interesting, because it's an ongoing discussion in my house. So we have my mother-in-law and my father-in-law who've lived in this house for over 30 years. And over that time, things have been modified, changed. It's a really beautiful home. But there's some things, if you look closely, there's just some things that like seem a little out of place. And I started asking questions like, why do we have this giant hole cut out in the living room wall? But there's a giant hole cut out in the wall that's just there because they wanted some extra storage. So it's like on the only wall that you could possibly put the TV on. So we have a TV that's on a stand that's a piece of plywood on top of like a crate box. And so there's all of these things around this house that I'm always like, why? And initially I'm just like, listen, I could go to, Goodwill and get us a new TV stand, but that wasn't the point.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about this mindset that I have as well. I go and use resources that we could use to do something else. Because again, going back to a country where the basics are what we are fighting for, anything that you use to put into something that seems like a luxury, and that's subjective too, right? Okay, so I compiled a bunch of photos that I want to show you and have you react to them and maybe try to see if you can guess what's happening.
Okay.
Number one.
Is it a fan over his head?
Yeah, it seems.
What?
It seems like it's a fan. I think it's like an exhaust fan that person's installed under. I think the primary thing was the shade, because it's the
shade. I look at it just a little bit longer and it starts to look a little luxurious. Like, the shade is something that I've always wondered about bikers. I can't get excited about being on a bike in the sun. So smart. I'm going to say that one is smart.
That one's smart. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Number two. What do you think's happening there?
This looks like, that looks like a tub or a pool almost, judging by this person down here in the corner. I think that's great. I mean, that's creative. It looks like bedposts or something on the ends.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd get that, but yes, those are actual beds.
Oh, they're like cots.
Yeah, they're like so.
Wow.
I think it's 4 bed frames, or what we call frames here. We call it charpai.
Okay.
in Pakistan, but yeah, just wooden logs with some ropes, strings in the middle, and you just kind of sleep on them. And I think they just put a big plastic giant sheet.
That's excellent. I mean, I can argue with that. That took a lot of time.
All right, next one.
Oh, the pedal handle, of course. I don't know that I could get on board with this one. This seems like there's a lot of potential dangers. You know, there's a lot of things that could go wrong with this.
Yeah. And so no one said problem solving is pretty or risk-free.
That's true. It's true. And that's definitely the case in this one. Yeah.
And that's definitely a case in the next one as well. Take a look at that one.
Okay, so he's lowering. Oh, wait, what is he doing? Is vacuuming from his window? Oh, he dropped a shirt and he's using the vacuum to suck it up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. This is partially very smart, depending on whether or not he can get to that area. But if he can get to that area, I would say you're probably better off walking.
Right? So yeah. I mean, it's like it's pretty dirty. I don't want to get into that, but so maybe it's not accessible. Maybe they can't get there, I think.
Yeah, we'll give him more credit.
Yeah, but it's looks dangerous too. What about the next one?
Okay, this is brilliant. This is truly brilliant because my complaint when riding a bike is there's never enough cushion. So amen to whoever did this. This was the right thing to do.
Amen to that. Okay, I agree. Next one. Is this handle better?
Oh my gosh. What is... I can't say it's bad. I mean, it solves the problem. This is the thing, is it oftentimes, like, it solves the problem. There's a word for this in Japanese too. I was just talking to a friend about this recently. I'm going to totally forget what it is, but it's enough, or enough to solve the problem. And I think we're just so focused on aesthetics and having the right, because we are so used to having exactly the right solution for the problem, that anything that's not like, oh, you could have gone to the locksmith and gotten a brand new lock and a new set of keys, that's the obvious solution when we have everything we could possibly ask for on Amazon.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the discussion here. Like, what is obvious and obvious is subjective too.
Yeah.
And again, depending on context, maybe this was the smart thing to do for that person in that moment.
Yeah.
But we'll do a debrief after. Okay, next one. I have a bunch of these.
What do we have? Okay, so this is a candle hanging from a shower head. This is one of the things that I while extremely practical, and it's you need light, and depending on when they're taking a shower, it's going to be essential to have some other.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's that. I don't think they have access to hot water. So
that would make sense.
Yeah. I don't know if and with the speed and the pressure of water coming out, I don't know if it's going to make a difference.
Yeah. But you know what? I give them props for trying, because taking a cold shower is just so unpleasant. So I probably would do something like this now that you've explained it. Even if it seems like, irrational if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, it's the effort, it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah. Okay, and then, well, the last one.
Oh, was it built that way though?
I think this person just kind of modified
They modified it.
So, and this I thought was An example of once you get into this mindset and you start to operate by default on, okay, how can I put things together to solve for something.
Yeah.
And so I think once you get into that frame of mind, then you're always looking to do that in every situation in life. From that could come solutions to some of the world's biggest problems.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that there's incredible solutions that my father-in-law has thought of and come up with that maybe I don't give him enough credit for because of all of the other goofy solutions, but we joke about it. But I completely agree. Being forced to solve a problem in a creative way, I think is really important and a skill that many of us don't have.
Yeah. And at the same time, the other extreme could be sometimes you don't need a life hack. You just need to go buy something.
It's true. Yeah. You got to figure out, there's a balance. There's definitely a balance.
Awesome. Thank you for doing this and for being a great sport. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.